Jenny Beth Martin is the chief organizer of the Tea Party Patriots National Organization, of which Richmond Tea Party is a member. I'm very proud to have her here today. She's a very, very busy person. When she just told me her schedule in the parking lot, I clicked out somewhere around Carolinas. I couldn't even keep up. So this is really a privilege to have Jenny Beth and Brent, frankly, coming and headlining this today. So would you please give a nice warm welcome to Jenny Beth Martin.
Thank you. Thank you. If Obamacare is not ready for big business, big labor, and big government, it's not ready for the American people. It's time for President Obama, Congress, and Congressman Cantor to do the fair thing and exempt America from Obamacare. And the only way to do this is to stop spending our hard-earned tax money on this law while still funding the rest of the government for the next fiscal year. President Obama himself has acknowledged this law is not ready, and he did that when he gave waivers or delay to big business. And that came on the heels of many waivers that had been granted to major labor unions because Obamacare is not ready for them either. After a closed-door meeting with the president, the Democrat senators, and Senator McCain, the Office of Personnel Management decided to exempt Congress and their staff members from the Obamacare exchanges. We, the American people, have not been offered any such waiver, delay, or exemption. We're stuck with an individual mandate for a bureaucratic law that the White House admits is simply not ready, while our government picks and chooses which parts of this law to enforce and which special interest groups get exemptions. The heads of the three biggest labor unions in the country told the president that Obamacare is going to shatter their health care and destroy the 40-hour work week. Last week, 40,000 international longshore and warehouse union members quit the AFL-CIO, in part because of President Obama's promise was broken. He promised their members that they would not have tax increases on their benefits. Obamacare breaks that promise. They join the majority of Americans who want nothing to do with Obamacare. In July, Congressman Cantor said this: rather than continuing to delay the predictable pain until another election day has passed, we should scrap this entire law and instead implement a patient-centered reforms before any more damage is done to our economy or health care families depend on. And then he said this, right? We agree with him that if they implement this law, they are going to do damage to our economy and our health care. Congressman Cantor, if you vote to spend our hard-earned tax dollars on this law, you are voting to do damage to our economy and to harm our health care. Whether in the Senate or in the House, those who vote to pay for Obamacare with our hard-earned tax dollars are voting in favor of a law that is not ready for big business, big labor, or big government. Those who vote to pay for Obamacare with our hard-earned tax dollars are voting in favor of destroying the work week that produces the very tax dollars they spend so easily. Those who vote in favor of those who vote in favor of paying for Obamacare with our tax dollars are voting to exempt themselves from a law they insist we must pay for and we must follow. Congressman Cantor has a choice to make. Stand up for the American people and do what's right for all Americans by funding the entire government and stop spending our money on Obamacare. Or he can stand with the special interest in D.C., big business, big labor, and big government, while sticking this disastrous law on us, the American people. With all the delays, with all the problems, the exemptions, the delays, this choice should be simple. Congressman Cantor, the United States Senate, the United States Congress, do the right thing and exempt America from this law. Thank you very much. And right before I finish, I had a few questions from people asking about our rally next week. We are having a rally on the west lawn of the Capitol. That's the side of the Capitol between the Capitol and the Washington Monument at noon on Tuesday, the 10th. There are only 9 legislative days left prior to the fiscal year beginning on October 1st. Tuesday will be the first full day Congress is back in session after this 5-week-long vacation. We need you, especially those of you from Virginia, to show up again and join us in Washington, D.C. To get information on this and to find out about buses, you can go to exemptamerica.com. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jenny Beth. Wise words. Our next guest, equally well known in the media. He's a very accomplished author, very intelligent commentator in all sorts of media. I've seen him on TV all over, stations everywhere. We are very honored to have somebody of his stature come to Congressman Cantor's sidewalk today. Would you please put him together for Brent Bozell?
Thank you, Larry. And it's good of you with the Richmond Tea Party to show up today. It shows one thing that's very simple. You love your country. Thank you for that. Obamacare is a train wreck. But those aren't my words. Those are the words of Senator Max Baucus of Montana, who was the chief sponsor of this disastrous law. The question is, where is House Majority Leader Eric Cantor on this law today? It seems like he seems to want it to happen. He's refusing to stop it while telling his fellow Virginians he's doing everything in his power to stop it. Some of the president's closest allies, like Teamster President James Hoffa, was an early endorser of this disaster, but even they today want an exemption from it. Hoffa now says that Obamacare will, and I quote here, destroy the 40-hour work week, which is the backbone of the American middle class, and that it will, quote, hurt millions of Americans. This is the unions saying this, not conservatives. Eric Cantor, you can stop this disaster. Where are you? Polls show that a majority of Americans, including the vast majority of your constituents, Congressman Cantor, do not want this disastrous law and want it repealed. Yet all Democrats and even some Republicans think that the people of Virginia not only should have to live with this law, that you have to pay for this disaster. Because he won't defund Obamacare, Congressman Cantor is effectively saying that the working families in his district must pay for his irresponsibility. The only way to put an end to this is for Majority Leader, I use those words, Majority Leader Eric Cantor, to stand up and say, enough is enough. We are defunding this monstrosity. Defund it, Congressman Cantor. Defund this awful, awful law. The wheels are already coming off Obamacare everywhere we look. Did you know that Delta Airlines has stated that next year alone, Obamacare will cost them, meaning you, if you travel on Delta Airlines, $100 million just next year. Do you work for UPS? If so, have you gotten the memo that your spouse will no longer be covered because of Obamacare? On and on it goes. It turns out that everyone is having to experience the pain of Obamacare. But not everyone. Some people are getting exemptions. Go ahead, boo. I don't care.
We're not booing you.
It's extraordinary to see how many cronies and friends of this administration get exemptions. It's extraordinary to see how the president illegally gave an exemption to big business when he had no constitutional authority to do so. This is a law that the president wanted passed and the House and the Senate passed. What is it about the Republicans that make them unable and so unwilling to put an end to it now that they can? Maybe, just maybe, is because somehow, believe it or not, these same Republicans have quietly exempted themselves. If that, folks, if that isn't an outrage, there is no such thing as outrage. We should be outraged. We should be telling every one of our members of Congress, if you can exempt yourself, exempt America while you're at it. There's very little time. There's very little time to stop this Obamacare train wreck. Massive amounts of taxes, regulations, and subsidies are about to kick in. Once these treacherous things are in place, there will be little, if no chance at all, to roll back what will be the largest and most damaging entitlement program in the history of the United States of America. Unfortunately, Congressman Cantor, along with many Republicans, are on their recess right now and hiding because they don't want to face the people who voted them into those offices with those very nice conference rooms in there, and they can't come out to real America to explain themselves why they won't do what they pledged to you that they would do. Come on out, Congressman Cantor. Come on out and have a talk with us. We're here to tell House, I say it again, Majority Leader Eric Cantor to keep your promise to your constituents and to the rest of America. Eric Cantor, if you really do believe in defunding this monstrosity, it's very simple. Raise your voice with your fellow Congressman Mark Meadows, with Senator Mike Lee, with Senator Ted Cruz, and with so many others who are trying to do the right thing. Congressman Cantor, say no once and for all to defunding Obamacare. Never again are you going to pay for another bill. Never again are you going to put your name on another passed bill that appropriates more money away from the taxpayer of America to this awful, awful law. Congressman Cantor, we need you to keep your promise to the people of Virginia and to join us in this effort. Congressman Cantor, our message to you today is unequivocal. If you fund it, you own it. And we will do everything in our power, everything, to let your constituents know how it is you voted. And it is they who will have the last word on this. Thank you.
Wow. No wonder he gets paid to go on TV and I have to do it for free. You know, he just made me think of something. I just thought of a way to make sure that congressmen are not exempt from Obamacare. Is anybody tracking with me here?
Yeah, vote 'em out.
Exactly. If you vote them out and they're not a congressman, they're not exempt, are they? Yeah, I think we stumbled onto something here. Thanks, Brent. My next speaker, believe it or not, Tea parties are maturing politically. We're growing up. Rallies and flags and everything are necessary and wonderful. It's great to see everybody out here and see all the Gadsden flags, etc. But we're growing up and maturing politically in that we are starting to coordinate our efforts and get in to see legislators and propose legislation to be put on the floor of the State House or the Congress. And part of that effort is that multiple Tea Parties in Virginia have united under the Virginia Tea Party Patriot Federation. We're now going to hear from the head of the Federation here in Virginia, a fellow liberty-loving Tea Party supporter, and his name is Mark Daughtrey. Put your hands together for him.
I want to thank Larry and the Richmond Tea Party Action Committees for planning this fabulous event with this great turnout today. And I want to thank Jenny, Beth Martin, and Brent Bozell for traveling to Richmond today to share their important messages. Now, Ronald Reagan once said that you and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We will preserve for our children the last best hope of man on earth. Now, Obamacare has a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is a train wreck. And under Obamacare, the 40-hour work week has a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is a 29-hour work week. And under Obamacare, 15,000 spouses of UPS employees have a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is termination of their employee health insurance benefits. And as Brent or Jenny Beth said, under Obamacare, Delta Airlines has a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is a projected $100 million increase in their health insurance costs. And under Obamacare, the 190 million Americans with private health insurance have a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is sharply higher health insurance premiums. And under Obamacare, the left-wing Obamacare navigators have a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is a broken GPS in their car so they won't be able to navigate their way out of a paper bag. And under Obamacare, the free health services that are offered under Obamacare have a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is those so-called freebies are going to cost an arm and a leg. And under Obamacare, this Obamacare health insurance application has a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny defund Obamacare. Thank you. Now, let's shift for a moment to a few other destinies of interest. The EPA has a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is gas fracking, coal mining, offshore energy exploration, the Keystone Pipeline, and abundant cheap energy for America. And Lois Lerner has a rendezvous with destiny. And that destiny is a House Select Committee on Tea Party targeting and harassment. Jail, 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 jail. The IRS has another rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is a simple flat tax or fair tax without all the 501c3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gobbledygook. And our $16.7 trillion in U.S. debt plus long-term liabilities has a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny, if we don't get our act together in the U.S., is the bankrupt country of Greece. And the easy money policy of the Federal Reserve has a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is heavy future inflation. And Hillary Clinton has a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is a House Select Committee on Benghazi. And Attorney General Eric Holder has a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny is the unemployment line. Jail. And a date in court. And the NSA has a rendezvous with destiny. And that destiny is the Fourth Amendment in the United States Constitution, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. And on August 19th, at the General Assembly building in Richmond, the MERC Committee, that's the Medicaid Innovation and Reform Commission, they had a rendezvous with destiny, and that destiny was 700 Tea Party and AFP activists flooding the General Assembly. And finally, Majority Leader Eric Cantor has a rendezvous with destiny. And that destiny is either a personal appearance at the town hall meeting at 6 o'clock at the Marriott or an empty chair. Now, we urge you to contact your Virginia congressman and ask them to co-sponsor House Resolution 2682, which Tom Graves is the chief sponsor for. I checked with Congressman Graves' office out of Georgia yesterday, and only 3 Virginia congressmen have signed on as co-sponsors: Bob Goodlatte, Robert Hurd in the 5th, and Rob Whitman. So I urge you to contact your congressman and ask him to sign on to House Resolution 2682. And furthermore, I spoke with Mark Meadows from North Carolina, congressman, his office yesterday, and of course Mark Meadows has the Meadows letter, and no Virginia congressman, 0 for 11, have signed the Mark Meadows letter, which is a letter addressed to Speaker Boehner and Majority Leader Eric Cantor to proceed with defunding Obamacare. And I might read the last paragraph of this Mark Meadows letter. As many of us have quoted before, James Madison wrote in Federalist Number 58 that the power over the purse may in fact be regarded as the most complete and effectual weapon for obtaining a redress of every grievance. We look forward to collaborating to defund one of the largest grievances in our time and to restore patient-centered health care to America. God bless the Tea Party members and free citizens of Virginia who are gathered here today. God bless the U.S. military veterans and active duty service members. Your rendezvous with destiny is to speak out for individual and economic liberty and to fight for our great constitutional republic. Now, Eric Cantor's district office is here, and Washington, D.C. is about 120 miles north of here. So let's, when we shout here in a second, make sure they can hear us not only here at the office, but all the way to D.C. Repeat after me 3 times. Defund Obamacare! Defund Obamacare! Defund Obamacare! Defund Obamacare! Defund Obamacare! Thank you, patriots. With your poster.
Jenny, Beth, would you mind taking a few questions just from your loyal Tea Party supporters? Brent, would you mind coming up and just letting the people here speak with you and just ask a couple of questions? Think of some questions, folks. At this point, we would have a little question and answer period, but, well, he's not here, so you can't ask him. So instead, since we got him here right now, and they're a precious resource not to be wasted, how about we ask a little question and answer period with Brent Bozell and Jenny Beth Martin? Ready? All right, let's do it. Somebody, go ahead.
I had one already. Apparently, some of the staffers from Congressman Cantor's office are telling you that they're not supporting this effort to defund because of mandatory spending. If I got that response from my congressman or senator, my response question to them would be, who made it mandatory? And if those people and that legislative body can make it mandatory, are you telling me you don't have the power to stop spending our money on it. I'd also ask how, if it's so mandatory, then why and they can't do anything about it, why has the president been able to delay this for big business? The Office of Personnel Management has been able to create an exemption for Congress and their staff, not through a legislative process. What we're asking for is the constitutional thing to do. It's to move through both chambers of Congress and to be signed by the president. We're not asking for a single stroke of the pen to change the law. And one more question. Some members of Congress's staff are telling you that they are not exempt from this law. The law says they have to live under the Obamacare exchanges. The people across this country who have to live under the Obamacare exchanges are not getting a roughly $5,000 subsidy, paid for with our tax money, by the way, to live under the exchanges like the congressman's staff are getting. And as far as we can tell, that is an exemption that the rest of America does not get.
Questions for Jenny, Beth, or Brent?
Jenny Beth, your donation website's down today.
Uh-oh, well, I'll have to work on that, but our main website's teapartypatriots.org, and I'll send a text to find out what's going on. Thank you. That may be a good sign.
You don't think that the IRS is defunding teapartypatriots.org, do you? Oh.
They've tried.
Yeah. Anybody have a question? We got two real pros here that know a lot about the. Okay, sir. Why wouldn't the Hyde Amendment apply to this? Anybody want to tackle that one? No. All right. Melody, you want to explain it? Later? We'll address that in the town hall, actually. So if you wait, remember, there's a town hall from 6 to 8. Town hall from 6 to 8 at that Marriott. You can see it. It's right there. We're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff over there, and I'll give you a teaser. You won't believe what's hanging on the wall. All right. Any question? Yeah. Hey, Floyd.
This is for Brent.
Brett.
With the research that you're capable of doing, since Eric Cantor is supposed to be a leader in Washington, can you think of anything he has done in the past 4 years to reduce the size of government or reduce government spending? Has he led on anything of a positive nature?
No, look, here's the situation. And it gets to what Jenny Beth said a minute ago. Congress has the power to do lots of things. It's given to it by the Constitution. There is a reason why it's a co-equal branch with the presidency. It is stunning to me that every time there's an opportunity to put an end to this nightmare, there's always an excuse. Always an excuse. There's always tomorrow we'll do it, tomorrow we'll do it. And it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. But the point you just hit on is the point that I'm making. Majority leader. Someone needs to send Eric Cantor a memo. You are in the majority, for God's sakes. And you're the leader of that majority. Why are you hiding from the American people? The reason he is there, the reason that Eric Cantor is the majority leader in the House, the reason that the Republicans are the majority in the House is because they pledged to do this, and that's what got them elected. I will tell you this, and I've used to say this privately, I'll say this publicly now. On the eve of the 2010 election, I met with Congressman Boehner privately, and I said to him, Congressman, this is when it was understood that they were going to win the majority, and there was no question about it. I said, Congressman, do you understand that you are not going to win this election? It is the Democrats who are going to lose in 2010, and you're being given one last chance to do things right. And he said, yes, I understand. No, he didn't understand, because they're doing exactly what they did that got them thrown out in 2006. So, if that's what needs to happen, as far as I'm concerned, speaking for myself only here, I just as soon throw the bumps out.
few more? Like 2 or 3? Good for 2 or 3? Okay, 2 or 3 more. Wait, it's like an auction. The one that yells, all right, right here in the front row. And then you, promise. And
For his 3 offices, and why does he need 3 offices when the rest of us have a home office? We work from home. He lives, what, 5 minutes from
Yeah.
here? He needs an office here. I can understand DC, but why are we paying for 3 offices?
so the question is, if you couldn't hear her, why does the congressman need 3 offices, D.C. and here and wherever else? I can partially answer that, and then I'll turn it over to the pros. He needs an office here to hide in. Okay. All right. Anybody want to tackle this one?
Yeah, I don't. I think you're better because you're from Virginia.
I
agree. Maybe it needs another hidey hole.
I do think that there ought to be some kind of legislation that mandates. I used to think that mandates that members of Congress go home, but I think there needs to be a second one, and it's that they stay home. That's my opinion.
I like it. They asked me on Fox News a couple weeks ago, what do you think Congress should do first when they get back from their recess, their August recess? And I said, clean out their desk and go home. All right, you ready? I'm ready.
Senator Tom Coker, who's from Oklahoma, also known as Dr. No, seems to usually be on the right side of things. But 2 weeks ago, he voted for this subsidy for congressional staffers and released holding up an appointment of Obama. I don't understand why he would do that. Does anybody know?
All right, put it in a nutshell one more time for Jenny Beth.
Why did Tom Coker release this appointment when the subsidy went through the congressional staffers? I wouldn't go.
I don't know. You've stumped us.
He sold his vote.
Look, I just, from what I can tell, from everything that I've seen come to light, as more and more has been revealed from the IRS targeting and discriminations, the people who are in Congress, they're there too long. And the longer they're there, the more easy it is to go along to get along and to believe what you're hearing in D.C. I go to D.C. as rarely as I possibly can and more often than I'd like to. And when you stand up against the pressure there, it's very immense and it's very difficult, and it may be easier for some people to go along to get along. I really think we need term limits, and I think that some people who went into Congress back in the 90s during the Republican Revolution, I think they've forgotten what got them there. I think people who have been there for a very short time, since 2010, have forgotten what put them there. And we have to remind them, we have to keep showing up, and we have to hold them accountable.
One more from this side of the house. Who's had their hand up the longest? All right, and don't forget, some of you can come up here, hopefully today before we leave the sidewalk. We're going to give some grassroots time. And over there, you're going to have a lot of portable microphone time, all spreading out through the crowd. So don't think you're being shut out. Yeah.
The 300-pound gorilla for a lot of Republican congressmen, professional politicians, is the government shutdown in the 90s. Now, I understand that as far as the congressional delegation goes, it wasn't a disaster. In fact, after they picked up a couple seats in the Senate, they lost some in the House. But the other thing was, that was when Newt Gingrich was there. A lot of people didn't like his personality. And it wasn't about an issue like this, which covers such a huge part of the economy and which a majority of the country doesn't want.
Absolutely. So that's a good speech. Do you have a question, or shall we just leave it right there?
Let me address it.
Okay, here comes Brent.
About the political.
I'm right there with you, buddy. Here's Brent. He's going to comment on it.
You go first, and then I will.
You know what gets me angry about that? It's as if the only thing they care about is politics in Washington, D.C. The policy doesn't matter. The right thing to do doesn't matter. The principle doesn't matter. The question is, will it hurt me with my reelection chances? Anyone who says that or who thinks that has been there too long. But if we're going to look at politics, fine, let's look at politics. Since before it passed, it's been unpopular. The moment it passed, Obama went on the road still trying to sell it. To this day, they're still trying to sell it because the American people still don't want it. So for all those calculating politicians, all you need to look at is that. I'll say something else. For the professional Republicans, the professional so-called conservatives, Karl Rove and company, it is you who cost the Republicans the House and the Senate with your policies. It is you who ushered in the era of Obama. It is you who is responsible for Obamacare. It is you who spent hundreds of millions of dollars last year and have nothing to show for it. Please stop giving me lectures on how to run politics.
I agree with what Brent has said, and the way I've answered this often when I'm asked is, I'm not concerned about the next election right now. I am concerned with what is right for America. And I know what is right for America is to ensure that we are all still treated equally in this country. We're in a country where all men are created equal, not where Congress and their staff are above the law and they expect us to pay for them to stay in their positions of power. If they want to win with the American people, stand up for Americans and do what's right. And remind Americans that it's the president who delayed this for big business. It's the president's administration who wrote that exemption for Congress. But if they stand by and vote to fund it, it's as good as allowing it to happen.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Don't leave yet. Jenny, Beth, Brent, thank you so much for coming. We're honored to have you here. At this time, we would present them with a really shiny, expensive gift, but the IRS is watching all of us so closely that we can't do that. All right? But I will say that probably both Media Research Center and TeaPartyPatriots.org, I know, have a way to donate to them. And as a gift to them for showing up today, feel free to donate for what you just heard. Thank them with your applause.